Welcome back to Caribbean Gateway, and now this is the Windrush segment. I have Mr. Arthur Torrington, one of the founding members of the Windrush generation, and let me say CBE. I'm not leaving that off his name. So Mr. Torrington, welcome to Caribbean Gateway.
Thank you.
Before you tell us about the passengers, can you tell us a bit about the Windrush Foundation?
Indeed.
Yes.
Now, Windrush Foundation was founded in 1995. Myself and Sam King, and the late Sam King, he was the one who got together with myself, and we discussed what should we do for Windrush 50. And that was in 1998, Windrush 50, but we were starting in 1995. So we came together and decided to form a company. And then we became a charity in 1996. And then we planned for 1998. And we had a big commemoration of the ship arriving and celebrating the men and women who came on the ship. And that was quite a big thing. But the idea really came from Sam King.
Yes.
You see, and then I came in as a person who was learning, because I came on a different ship as a boy, whereas Sam King came at age 22 on the Empire Windrush in 1948.
So he was coming from Jamaica, and where were you coming from?
I was coming from British Guyana at the time. It's now Guyana, as you know.
Okay.
But in that sense, two different experiences.
Yes.
His ship was a bigger ship than my ship.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you about, you know, why you think it's important to celebrate like the Windrush 75?
Well, indeed, because 75 years after the ship arrived, it arrived on the 22nd of June 1948, that's true. We must remember that there were ships that also arrived before the Windrush, all right? You had the Almanzora, 1947, and my former friend, I should say, he's no longer alive, Alan Wilmot, he was on the ship Almanzora. He landed on the 21st of December 1947. Then there was also another ship called the Ormond that landed in Liverpool in 1947 around springtime.
Okay.
These were ships before Windrush. So some people imagine, or some people think that Windrush was the first ship bringing what they call migrants, but that's not the case. We want to demystify those stories of the first ship. But it was a ship of significance.
So
and that's why we celebrate.
Okay, so all those ships were coming from the Caribbean, or they went to like some of the African countries? All of them were coming from the Caribbean?
Well, at that time, I think most of the ships were coming from the West Indies, about people who wanted to remain. You see, no, the ships coming from Africa were coming directly because they were coming maybe to serve in the at NHS, or they were coming for jobs that were advertised already. We don't really know the history of the African ships. But the ships coming from the Caribbean were specific, coming with people who wanted to remain.
Okay.
Coming with passports.
Oh, I see. Now, can you tell us about June 1948? Indeed.
Now, important to know that in June 1948, even before the ship landed, there was lots of talk in Parliament about the ship.
Yes.
In fact, they felt that this number of people coming on the ship was like an invasion. And that's what was said by one newspaper. An invasion was the title of what was that, was the headline.
Yes.
Now, that was misleading because you only had 1,027 people coming, and they were mixed. They had people of Asian background, Chinese background, what I call Euro-Caribbean background. Lots of, in fact, it could well be that 50% or 45% of the people who were coming were of Euro-Caribbean background. They were either living in the Caribbean for a while, or they could well have been troops returning to England or to Britain in that sense. So it was a mixed ship, an ethnically mixed ship. So it's not just African Caribbean people coming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing that we want people to realize, that it's not true that only African Caribbean people were coming on the ship.
Okay. No, there's a story about, I think it's Clapham Common or Clapham Junction.
Clapham Common.
Clapham Common. Loads of persons don't know anything about that. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Indeed. Now, Clapham Common then, this massive area, very important historic area.
Yes.
In South London. Now we have Clapham North, we have Clapham South, we have Clapham Common in terms of the underground. And what happened, you know, when the war started, this is the Second World War, when Hitler started, the Nazis started the war in 1949, Britain was bombed. So Britain then had to have underground shelters. And they only began to build the underground shelters in the early 40s. You see, and therefore lots of people were killed with these bombs coming over these, what they call doodlebugs, and the Germans sending these kind of ships, kind of airships, and dropping bombs. So people were killed. So what they had now with these air raid shelters, Clapham South, Clapham North, Clapham Common, Clapham South, way into Stockwell, Camden, you had some in Holborn, to shelter people, you see, and thousands of people.
Okay.
The one in Clapham Common, or on the Clapham Common, I mean, could possibly hold, I think it could hold like 10,000 people.
What?
It's quite big, yes, quite big. So it so happens that when the war finished, there were some people who were coming to England with no way to go. No way to, but of course, there were hotels, but hotels wouldn't have taken some of them.
Yes,
you see,
yes.
Because there was kind of a color bar at the time. But anyway, they were housed in Clapham South Deep Shelter.
Yes, I mean, I get to understand that is how many steps down?
The what day?
How many steps down?
Well, there were something like 190 steps. Down and then one up again. So we were there. We were privileged to have been hosted by the London Transport Museum, and I've got to give Chris Nix credit for having some really superb presentations.
Yes.
You know, one level below the Northern Line. All right, that's something where the trains are passing over every half a minute.
But I mean, that must be very uncomfortable for, you know, the guys that were staying down here, because there is no window, so that must be very, very hot.
Indeed, well, the problem is really sleeping when the trains are passing, because you can't sleep. Every half a minute,
yes.
You know, the train is passing overhead at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
So at least that was like an alarm for you.
Yes. So is that the Clapham Common one? Is that the only shelter at the moment that you can visit, or the others are still available?
I don't think that's the only one, but it's the only one that is really, I would say, safe. I mean, because I've gone to the Clapham North shelter, and that housed a lot of people's papers, bank papers, and a lot of stuff is held there.
Yes.
But Clapham South is very well renovated by London Transport Museum.
Okay,
so when you go there, it's clean and reasonably tidy, and you can look around and you can see what the museum has actually done a great job.
But you have to walk down.
Well, it has everything.
You have to walk down those 190 something steps.
Indeed, yeah, and then up again. Not so much walking down. It's easy walking down. But walking up.
Yes.
It's as though, you know, you're not finishing, you've got to keep climbing.
Oh, okay. Now, can you tell us about, because I know that the Windrush celebration started in June, June 2023. Can you tell us about some of the things that happened, you know, during that celebration?
Well, there were very many things happening. Some of the things were organized by other groups.
Yes.
Which is fine. But they were more or less commemorating a particular history that deals with whom they called Windrush Generation, and also those people who came on other ships.
Okay.
You've got to be very, very careful here. I mean, Windrush Generation is a kind of a symbolic term, whereby they've named people or a generation because of those who came on the ship.
Okay.
Technically, those who came on the ship are the Windrush generation. Because after all, they came on the ship. I mean, I came on a different ship. And therefore, if I'm called Windrush generation, a member of, it means that I've taken on the kind of symbolic kind of nature. The feeling, the experience is similar to what the men and women who came on the ship have experienced.
Wow.
So it's kind of just associating and identifying with people like ourselves who came in 1948. Although we may come in 1958 or 1968, we're still a part of that Windrush generation.
Okay, so
symbolically.
The celebration is still going on?
Well, let's note one thing. Celebration is celebrating the people.
Okay.
Commemorating the arrival is what we've done for Windrush 75. Commemorating the whole incident of the arrival, you measure it by the 75 years.
Okay.
But what we're doing is commemorating the arrival, but celebrating the people, like Sam King, for example.
Yes. So you have all of that coming up for the rest of the year.
There's still things coming up. There's still celebration of people, Sam King. We talked about John Richards. We talk about Alfred Gardner. He'll be on television, I'm sure, again. But the main thing is commemorating the arrival, celebrating the people.
Okay. Well, Mr. Arthur, you know something, you are full of so much history, and I want to thank you so much, you know, for your time here with us on Caribbean Gateway, giving out all of this information to, you know, persons out there. But I can't let you go before I have a surprise for you. This really and truly, this was supposed to be given to you from last year. And this is from everyone here on Caribbean Gateway. And, you know, I just want to present this to you.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, that's a wonderful gift, I should say. It says just Caribbean Gateway, Ben Television, which is very important. My name is there. And it says thank you. And I thank you indeed for sponsoring this Caribbean Gateway. And I've got to say precisely that we're sponsored also by the lottery, by the Heritage Lottery, National Heritage Lottery, and we are pleased to be working with Ben Television. Yes,
and I'm pleased to have you as well, because I've gained so much knowledge since you're here with us, and I sure know that our audience have gained a lot of knowledge, because it's not about what happened 2 years ago. It's about the people who behind the whole educational system of the Windrush generation.
It's a privilege.
So thank you again.